Hey guys, Martin here again from the Loan Room, coming to you today with step 3 of developing a personal finance strategy. So I'm assuming that if you're up to this video, you've watched video 1 and video 2 and actually implemented what we've spoken about and give it some serious thought. So at the end of video 2, we spoke about your vehicle. What is your vehicle? So I'm going to assume that you've at least thought about a vehicle, and that's going to get you to where you want to go in life. In this video, I'm going to talk about the success triangle that I believe is imperative to take you there. So, a question is, in your life, what is your number one asset? So here, pretend I have a triangle. On this corner of the triangle here is your number one asset. Now, when I ask this question, most people say, it's my house, it's my share portfolio. They are all wrong. You see, the number one asset you have is you. It is yourself. It is your ability to earn, your ability to think. So, why is this important? Because the first bit of money you need to invest is into yourself. So let's pretend you've decided your vehicle is going to be a real estate investment. The first bit of money is not to buy property, it's invest into yourself, into knowledge. It's into understanding. It's into what's the real estate strategy that's going to work best for you. So as your number one asset, you need to invest into you. That may be business. It may be advancing your career. Do you need to go back to school? What do you need to learn? And you invest that money into yourself to upskill, to be educated in whatever it is that you've chosen to embark down in this financial journey. So your number one asset is always yourself. At the peak of this triangle, we have the number one investment. That number one investment is the vehicle itself that you may have chosen. So again, it could be shares, real estate, business. So after you invest into yourself, to upskill yourself, you want to take the rest of that money and put it into your vehicle, your investment. So whatever that is for you, invest into it. It could be investing into setting up websites, marketing, save up a deposit for your first investment property, building a share portfolio, going into crypto, any of those things. But after your number one asset, which is you then invest into your number one investments, which is that vehicle you are using to create your financial freedom and your financial vision that you have. So this third portion of the triangle down here, if I'm honest, has probably caused me the most headaches by not following it, because it's actually an easy step not to follow. Why? Once I explain it to you, you'll understand why, but I think we all tend to think we're invincible or this will not happen to us. So what is that third step? What is your number one strategy? You see, your number one strategy should be to protect what you build. So what does that mean? Let's pretend you're building a business. You have staff, you have rent. Your number one strategy needs to be protecting that. So when things like COVID happen, how many businesses shut down? The reason they shut down or needed to close, if we're honest, is they didn't have strategy. Strategy of protection. Protection is cash. Now we all know cash is diminishing in value over time, but you need to have cash to bulletproof yourself as you grow. So that could be real estate. If you're investing in real estate, what if your tenant doesn't pay? What if the roof leaks or breaks, or you need to spend money on that investment? If you don't have a strategy of protection, cash, you're always going to find yourself climbing to the peak, falling down to the bottom, because life is always going to happen. So I encourage you to look at that strategy to bulletproof yourself, which is the strategy of protection. Personally, you should have income protection, death cover, trauma cover. As I said earlier, you should have at least 3 months in personal reserves. Well, how much reserves do you have if you started a side business so that your side business can continue running if something was to happen? If you're building a real estate portfolio, how much cash reserves have you put aside for every single property that you buy? The amount of protection you need should always climb to each new level that you're going to. Give you a quick example of this. You're building a real estate portfolio. As you build your first investment property or buy your first investment property, you need to have some protection around that property. You need to have your insurances in place. You need to have your personal savings in place, as well as the investment property. When you go to property number 2, everything rises together. So if you started with 3 months of personal reserves, aim to build it now to 6 months of personal reserves. You then need to have the reserves again for investment property number 2. So everything rises together and it actually creates a bulletproof strategy for yourself. So if things happen, and they're always going to happen that are out of our control, we might be frustrated, but we're not going to lose what we build. Guys, on this video, I really encourage you to go back and watch it again and start to implement these strategies. To recap, your number one investment is always yourself. Your number one asset is always yourself. Your number one investment is into the vehicle that you're choosing to use to get you to your financial goals. And your number one strategy is protection. You always want to protect what you build so you can't lose it. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I look forward to bringing the next one. Is that good?